Recorded live with little or no editing. It's Defense Up. I'm Run 7. How you doing? Today we're going over Axon's defense. Now, Axon goes by another name, but I want to be able to monetize this video, so I'm not going to tell you what that name is. We had Axon in on voice today, along with a plethora of some very top-tier content creators and community assistance members going over this. A huge crowd on Twitch today. Hot debate over these defenses. Axon does not like to use what everybody else is using. He's just under 40 million TCP operating in Diamond 1 and climbing through the ranks very, very quickly with defenses that are working for him, but we're worried that they are going to start failing and failing rapidly. So we're preparing him to have to take that step and do the things that maybe some players don't like to do, which is use the stuff that everybody else is using. However, for the time being, these are things that you may want to look at for use on your roster, especially if you're operating less than Masters. I know I'm in Diamond, and I'm seeing less and less of these types of crazy defenses and more of the standard stuff, simply because like water flows to the lowest point, people start to find the defenses that hold the best, and that's what happens. And you get towards the end of a season, and it does become a little bit stale. However, we have a room that has been changing as the X-tream X-Men come into play, and we'll talk a little bit about that around rooms 4 and 5 and how X-tream X-Men and Unlimited X-Men can be used. All right, first up, room number 1 is, you know, it's an arena defense, basically, for a lot of people. You have the Secret Defenders. It's a full 5-piece. Now, a lot of people are using something like Noir, or they were for a minute using Big Time, which I think was a terrible choice. Or you could throw in an APOC or a Super Scroll in here as the 5th to make it crazy. People found the counters to APOC, and so other things are happening in room 1. Even the whole Secret Defender APOC team being moved out of room 1. The trick here is make sure that your entire team is set up with a striker ISO. You want them all assisting and doing crazy good damage. And so we do have good ISOs here. On this particular defense, we want to trade places with Black Cat and Doctor Strange, putting Black Cat adjacent to Robbie so that she has the immunity, and when somebody comes in here with a new warrior composition, it becomes harder to spread those negative effects to Robbie. He's a hot target, and you can't do anything when there's that immunity right next to him. Okay, the best counter for this team is going to be the new warriors with Echo subbed in for Dagger, and that the Echo shuts down the counter assist by this team and makes their damage output manageable. T-Dats in chat is trying his best to distract me with some really ridiculous emotes. And if you want to be a part of the distraction that is my stream, the links are in the description below, and you can come find us on Twitch live Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. All right, so we want the placement swap. Otherwise, this is actually a really good team. I'm going to give it an A-. There are other things that can be more powerful, especially than Doctor Strange, but Doctor Strange gives some turn meter to Hard Light, which makes it kind of a coin flip on some of the counters and makes it real risky. That's why everybody starts using New Warriors Echo to counter this, and that's why we just want that placement swap with Black Cat so that Robbie becomes a harder target. Nice defense, though, really is. Number 2, however, is not a defense that we were in love with. This was kind of something that was some leftover bits and pieces and seeing where it sticks. Now, something to note is that Annex is not needing any of these things on offense. You'll see he has a Super Scroll, a fully built Super Scroll, in fact. And he can use that on offense, but doesn't need it. And so these are okay for him to use. However, we don't really like how this team plays out. It's beaten by Death Seed. We presume, because we've never seen this before, it's so crazy off the wall. But we presume that Death Seed, Eternals, or Pegasus, maybe even a War Dogs team would beat this. And so it's not super scary. There is some RNG depending on who Vulture picks. We don't think Taskmaster is even going to be able to blind anybody. He'll probably be too slow. It's like Quicksilver is probably the biggest threat here. Could be a total waste, but in Diamond 1, you might find some people who don't understand how it works or don't realize what they're doing, and they're either going to overcompensate and bring in something too big and waste a really powerful team, or they're going to underestimate what's going on here, and the combo of Vulture and Mysterio will start getting things going Quicksilver just destroying your team. So it could be good, but what would be better is to slide this over into room 3, where they're all kind of opening with their alts, and then it's the same team, but it's a little scarier, you know? So for me, I think this is like a C, maybe a C minus. The ISOs are okay. The placement's not really gonna matter too much on this. Maybe consider putting like some gap placement by moving Green Goblin in between 2 bigger people who are more hard targets or something, because Green Goblin's probably going to fold pretty easy on this team. But otherwise, I think it's kind of like a C, maybe even a C minus. I'm not too excited about it, and this is one of the teams that we're either going to have to move rooms or just take out altogether. All right, and up next, if I can get my buttons working, we have room 3. This one we really didn't like. A lot of us really didn't like this because when you start operating at the high end of Diamond into Masters and Grandmasters, these are tunes that you must have available to use on offense, if not on a very, very specific defense. And so we didn't like seeing all this getting wasted by a team that's going to get absolutely annihilated by a Doom Dorm APOC composition. You could take those 3 tunes in and just anything with a lot of positive effects to ensure that their Super Scroll goes first, opens with their alt, triggers the Doom, hopefully landing in the sweet spot for a Doom time platform, taking your APOC for the ride. If it kills it, that's why you have Dormammu in there, so the Doom will be revived and still go on the time platform ride. Then APOC takes a bunch of turns, destroys things, and it all starts to fall apart. Still a very scary team, and again, in lower levels, a lot of people are going to fail to beat this because they don't understand the Doom Dorm APOC, or maybe they don't have them available on offense. That could be a thing too, and then this works out really well for you. Again, Annex not needing these for his offensive strategy, and so it works really well for his team. Very scary, can work really well, but you're rolling the dice on this because if your opponent has the right pieces and understands this, it's going to be a very efficient kill against some very strong people. So in lower echelons, I'm going to give this a B. As you move up through the ranks, it rapidly falls off in its scoring, maybe even falling down to an F because you are going to need a lot of these pieces on offense. Moving on to room 4. This one's another... this one's pretty tough. This is Eternal's food. Fury bringing in those summons. Icarus is going to flip all that stuff and just blow it up, killing this team cleanly and efficiently for a very good score. We don't like this at all. I think this is probably going to be an F. We talked about maybe subbing out Fury for Valkyrie, but his Valkyrie's pretty small. Although that's still an option, you'd get the 50% chance she'd give all those positive effects to the Asgardians if she died. The other thing is maybe move Ronan in here instead of Fury. However, Ronan doesn't work that well. I mean, you know, the new Avengers is a war team, and they just don't operate that well here in Crucible. So, all in all, I just don't like this team. I'd like to see it replaced. However, Annex is seeing some good results, and so the number 1 rule is if it's working, don't fix it. So we're going to let him leave it for now, but this thing gets a low score. I'm coming in at a D at best. I really want to see this changed up. Unfortunately, most of these characters just aren't very good in Crucible. Vol has some utility and some niche positions, and of course, Fury great on offense using his special first, but the rest of them, just file them in the round bin. Okay, room number 5. This is the hot sauce right here, okay? It's the Unlimited team combined with the X-tream X-Men team. And what we're finding is that we want to take in the full X-tream X-Men team and replace Cyclops with Rogue. That's going to be the ultimate version if you have them unlocked. That requires a superior 6 counter featuring Vulture. That's about the only way you beat that team in a one-shot. Now, this is actually a really good version for those of us that don't have all of the X-tream members unlocked. Forge is a key instrument in making these things happen. I don't have Forge unlocked. I went ahead and got Sunspot, but not Forge. And so we would like to see, we can work with the same team, but we're gonna move Bishop adjacent to Rogue. That way, when Bishop dies, he's going to put the taunt, or Rogue is going to reflexively gain that taunt, and then you'll have gap placement between Rogue and the rest of the team. We can also slide this entire team over to room 4, where we get some different benefits from those room rules, and it plays out altogether differently, so it could mix your opponents up if they're not used to seeing it over there in 4. Any variation of the X-tream and the Unlimited are going to probably net you some positive results. Anytime a new team comes out and you get to use them on defense, you're either going to have your opponent screw up and overcompensate or undercompensate. Very rarely do a lot of us know right off the rip how to go into new teams that have been completely untested. And that's why we like these X-tream comps coming out for the Unlimited. Doolam was in chat and he mentioned that this is really great how this room is working, because even though we're coming up on the end of the season of Crucible, we're seeing this change, and because of the way this defense changes, it affects the cascade of offensive teams you use everywhere else, and it's keeping Crucible fresh and alive. And Scopely, if you're watching this, you probably aren't, but if you are, it would be cool to see a room that does this same thing, featuring Hive Mind or something. Every time we've got new teams coming out, as those new characters release into the game, they all make supplemental changes. So for me, this is an A-. We'd like to see Bishop moved. We could use other variations of it, and we could even move it to room 4 if you want to try that. All right, room 6 is the Superior 6. This is a really powerful defense, and it's really hard to beat. One way you can do it is by using the mirror. The other way you can do it is an APOC, Doom, and full Undying team that requires Zombie Juggernaut. And whoever takes the ride, whether it be APOC or Zombie Juggernaut, is going to annihilate this team, but you're, again, requiring that Doom be in there for a time platform to push and make it happen. So, we do like this. Be prepared, however, for Scopely to throw out an event that requires the Sinister Six to be on offense again. People in chat were telling me that they think there is an event coming up again like that, so just be ready to have something to sub in. Or you could give the finger to your Alliance and Scopely for making us use these really awesome defenses on offense in a solo-based game mode where you need to contribute Alliance points to your Alliance for doing things you don't want to do. That's very frustrating. Scopely, if you're still watching, we don't like that. Stop doing that. But just be prepared to have something ready to sub this team out if you want to be a team player, or, you know, give your finger to the Alliance. I don't care. All right. For this team, one change that we do want to make is we want to move Doc Ock in place adjacent to Lizard, and then we're going to put Green Goblin off the other shoulder of Doc Ock. That way, those deflects are going to Green Goblin and Lizard taunting. Green Goblin's a key player you want to keep alive, so you want those deflects going to them. Otherwise, this is a great defense. I'm going to give it an A-. I think it's really solid. Thank you, Annex, for sending in your defense. If you want your defense featured on Defense Up, the links are in the description below. Just send me a DM. I'll get you on the list. It is long. We're 4 or 5 weeks out again. I may have to start doing more Defense Up videos in the middle of the week because it's getting to be pretty challenging. Remember, everyone, don't just have a good game. Be good to yourself and others, too. And I'll see you next time. Bye.